Hello, Sunrise. I'm Pastor Clayton Munsey. I'm a pastor here at our Berlin campus, and it's great to be with you here today as we continue our study in the book of Matthew. Today we're in chapter 9, and I want to focus in on a couple of passages here with you today. First, in verses 9 through 13, where we see Jesus walking along, and he sees Matthew sitting in his tax collector's booth, and he tells him, "Follow me and be my disciple." And Matthew gets up and follows him. I take great comfort in this passage in knowing that Jesus called a tax collector of all people to be his disciple. Tax collectors in Jesus' day were the lowest of the low. They were despised by the Jewish people. They were Jewish citizens that collected taxes for Rome. And many times they would collect more than was required, more than was needed for their own personal gain to make themselves wealthy. They were not only looked at as tax collectors, but they were looked at as thieves, as traitors to the Jewish nation. And to think that Jesus chose one of these to be his disciples gives me comfort in knowing that my past doesn't matter. What I'm doing right now doesn't matter. All that matters is my willingness to follow him. And I love Matthew's heart in the very next passage where he calls all of his friends, all of his acquaintances, all of his fellow tax collectors to meet this Jesus that's changed his life. He throws this dinner party and he invites Jesus and his disciples there. And it's at this dinner party that the Pharisees see Jesus in there eating with these tax collectors, with these sinners. And the Pharisees call Jesus' disciples aside and say, "Why is your leader eating with these tax collectors, these sinners, these scum?" Jesus overhears them and says, "It's not the healthy that need a doctor, but the sick." I don't think I've ever gotten up in the morning and say, "Man, I feel really good today. Let me go to the urgent care." No, Jesus is pointing out to the Pharisees how silly that is. He goes on to tell them that I haven't come for those who think they are righteous, but those who know they are sinners. Jesus really sums this up in the end of this chapter in verse 37, where he says, "The harvest is great, but the workers are few." These passages we've looked at here this morning really cause me to examine myself. Am I following Jesus' example that he set here in these passages for me? Am I out there in the harvest field reaching those people that are lost and dying spiritually in this world? It's easy for us as Christians to look around one day and we're surrounded by other Christians. Am I still making those relationships, developing those friendships with people outside of the church to be able to share Jesus with them? Am I getting out into the community to be able to share the love of Jesus, get into that harvest field that's great that Jesus talks about? Pastor Darrell has challenged each of us this year that each one reach one. That's my prayer for you here today, that God would give you those divine appointments, that we would be able to share that love of Jesus, that we would be those workers in his field. I hope you all have a blessed day, and I look forward to seeing you soon.